Week 2 filled with injuries, and that's going to create a lot of opportunities for others here moving forward. I'm Jason Gilbo at Fantasy Football Cafe, taking a look at Week 3 streamers and waiver wire ads, which open up tomorrow morning. Looking at some injuries, Eddie Lacy left the game on a cart last night, but reports are so far today somewhere in between of the injury is not too serious, but he has a weak leg, is going to have some struggle recovering at times this week. If Lacy misses any time, James Stark is going to be the guy to add, instant waiver wire guy. Looked very good against the Seattle defense that's been touted as the best NFL defense so far. They haven't really shown it that much, but you know what? He's going to face the Chiefs next week if he plays. Any running back in a Rodgers system, the defense respects the passing game so much, it's going to open up holes for Starks there, and he's got more of a speed factor over Lacy. So I definitely like the matchups coming up ahead. Of course, he plays in a weaker NFC North division. So if Lacy does miss extended amount of time, you're looking at Starks being the guy there. If you're in a waiver wire with money implications, you may want to sit back and wait a little bit. May not be worth the money, but if you have no implications, he's definitely worth a stash. Another running back went down this week, Tevin Coleman for Atlanta. He broke a rib, meaning Devonta Freeman going to be the lone back in Atlanta while he recovers. Atlanta's not going to run the ball a ton, but he should get 12 to 15 carries on the ground a game, and you are looking for some nice PPR points with Freeman there, because he's a decent pass catcher out of the backfield, and that's really where the Falcons thrive, is in the passing game. He was targeted 8 times in the win against the Giants, caught 4 passes, 60 combined yards and a touchdown. So, he's definitely got some nice fantasy value there. Looking at some quarterbacks, it's been a rough week. Tony Romo down, looking at 8 weeks minimum, no surgery. Drew Brees, I've seen a lot of things come out today, but it looks like it's just a bruised rotator cuff there. So if you need a QB, Andy Dalton should be your #1 priority right now if he is out there. Which he's had a hot 2 weeks here, but I think people will really catch on this week with struggling QBs. Has not been sacked yet, has not been picked off. Hopefully I'm not jinxing him for week 3 against the Baltimore Ravens. Has 5 touchdowns in 2 games, completing 68% of his passes. Now has Tyler Eifert, who's really shown up 2 weeks in a row, to go with Giovanni Bernard, Jeremy Hill, as long as he can keep the ball off the ground. And also AJ Green there. So he's got plenty of weapons. Dalton can succeed in that system there with all those guys around him. Really like him moving forward, because you know what, you're looking at these defenses. Steelers have looked all right so far. Ravens, on the other hand, have not. Were just shredded by Oakland there. Derek Carr looked like he was back at Fresno State, tossing up 500 yards a game. They looked very poor, and that's their week 3 matchup, so I like them there. Next on the list, if you're looking for a fill-in, Tyrod Taylor should be out there, turnover prone, sure, but you know what? His garbage time TDs, his legs, going to get you some fancy points each week. And against the Patriots, I thought would definitely hold the Bills to under 20. Sure, he had some late touchdowns there, but when he scored 4 times, I think that's a pretty good upside there each week. And if you are hurting at the QB position, he's going to be a guy that's out there for sure. The Saints-Cowboys offenses are so battered right now. You're looking at Romo being down, Bryant being down. The receiving core in New Orleans is not great, and it's not Breeze who's going to instantly make it better. He's not like those other quarterbacks out there. They really miss Jimmy Graham. Brandon Cook's not looking too great. His size is still an issue with me, and you're looking at Brandon Coleman, who's been inconsistent, hasn't gotten anything really going so far yet. It's going to be a rough ride, and I would definitely look elsewhere for production over the next few weeks, especially in Dallas. They got Brandon Whedon, who's looking like the starter, although they'll probably work in some other guys. But I'd like to see the passing game or the running game really take over going forward. But that's going to remain to be seen. On to some streamers for this week. Looking at starting off with defenses, the Patriots and Cardinals are my big 2. But they have a little bit higher ownership going forward. So the less likely team, the less likely owned is the Steelers. You throw out week 1, they're facing a pissed off Tom Brady, Gronkowski, who nobody can stop as we have seen, so you can't really put that on there. Brady's off to just a mammoth start to the season. Week 2, all he really gave up was garbage time touchdowns against a Niners offense. It's pretty versatile, but you know what? They shut down Hyde. They made Kaepernick throw, but he was throwing a lot from behind. Yeah, sure, they gave up some yards, gave us some touchdowns. Really, outside of that long Torrey Smith bomb that they had, they cleaned up some mistakes, and they have a decent fantasy game. Um, Niners couldn't manage too much. Now they're going to face a Rams offense this week, who's likely to have Todd Gurley. But you know what? If this game goes like it has with the Steelers scoring points, Rams are going to be playing from behind a lot, meaning Foles and whoever the hell his wideouts are nowadays, not going to have a ton of options going forward, and you got to like that Steelers defense matching up against them. Going tight ends here. Arizona was one of the worst defenses against tight ends last season. If anything that's coming from the Niners this game, I believe it's going to go through Vernon Davis. 15 or Arizona Cardinals allowed 15.3 fantasy points per game last season. Vernon Davis, going to get some increased looks if Hyde's banged up. I think that secondary for Arizona is going to be tough on Bolden and Smith there. And you're looking at Davis, who's had some nice looks so far. He's got 7 targets, which was tied behind Anquan Bolden, 5 catches, 62 yards. I think you're going to see a pretty vintage Vernon Davis performance this week. It's probably going to be the lone bright spot in what's going to be a lackluster game for the Niners, because I do like the Cardinals defense as a whole. Just can't stop tight ends. So looking at wide receiver, I'm not chasing Leonard Hankerson's week 2 performance, although it was pretty juicy. I'm chasing him being in a pass-heavy offense this week against Dallas secondary that ranks in the middle of the pack against in pass defense. Hankerson, he's got his nice little adoption pickup for week 3, possibly replace some of your wideouts whose QB is missing. Hankerson looked great, picked up a touchdown, could have had another one in week 2, out-targeted Roddy White, which isn't going to be the case each week. But you know what? I think with them throwing pretty heavily, you got to like Hankerson's chances of repeating something similar to week 2. If you're looking for a running back, you do like Devonta Freeman. I do like him as a pickup over the next few weeks. If he's already owned, I already mentioned once, I'm actually looking at David Johnson for the Cardinals. He showed his worth in week 2 with a kick return touchdown, but he also had 45 yards on 6 touches and a touchdown. And you know what? The Arizona beat writers expect more touches for Johnson there, and actually predict a pretty split backfield between the two Johnsons. So moving forward, this guy has a lot of breakout speed. He's shown his play. He's touched the ball a couple times this season, and he's already found the end zone 3 times. I think you're going to see a workload really grow while the time Ellington is out. So look for Johnson definitely this week against the Niners defense that looked very suspect against the Steelers, and the Cardinals offense is just flat out rolling right now. QBs, it's a pretty poor week for streaming QBs. If it's not Andy Dalton, if it's not Carson Palmer out there, Tyrod Taylor's got a really tough matchup against Miami this week. So you know what? I am looking. Hate to say it, but I'm looking to Johnny Manziel facing the Raiders, who's been thrashed both weeks by Flacco and by Dalton. And it feels weird to say, but Manziel looked pretty good last week against in his matchup against the Titans. Oakland ranks in the bottom 5 in pass defense this season so far. Weren't great last season. He threw 2 touchdowns, 8 for 15. He has upside with his legs. Just the way this week shakes out, Manziel is really a decent option if you're in a pickle at QB this week. I don't mind the matchup. He's been playing pretty well outside of that Jets game. He flashes the upside last season. He's got playmaking ability. So looking forward to seeing what he can do back at home for week 3. And with that Manziel note, whether you like it or not, it's going to be the end of the pod here. Good luck in week 3.